please, Chris.
Ray Solomon.
Here.
Glenn Thompson.
Present.
Scott Dyke.
Here.
Jennifer Methvin.
Here.
Darrell Jefferson.
Here.
Claudia Gazal.
Here.
Tina Oberlin.
Present.
Mark Sepiti.
Here.
Nate Albert.
Here.
And Joe Kubal.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, first on the agenda is the presentation by White Oak Library District regarding the referendum proposal. We are honored to have our director of not only our library, but Lockport and Romeoville also, Scott Point, here tonight to go over some talking points, and this will be for informational purposes only. Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me here tonight, and thanks for Tony for extending the invitation. I think most of you know me, but the Library District has a referendum question on the ballot for April 1st. And as the mayor indicated, I'm just sticking to factual things tonight. I'm not asking anybody to vote any one way or another. The Library District, has recognized our need to expand some of our services for years. We revisited sort of public input in 2024. We had public focus group meetings to create a new strategic plan, which we did. We completed that. And the few things that we know that we needed to do to increase library services are, just to tick them off for you, increase our hours. We made the decision a few years ago in order to gain the morning hours during the week that we needed to do more story times for children. We closed on Sundays. And that's, we basically robbed the hours from Sunday and moved them weekday mornings. That is working out for weekday mornings, but, we're hearing people complain that they can't come in on Sundays. So we would like to add back in some additional hours on Sunday and also stay open later on Friday nights, and there's lots of reasons for that I can get into if you want me to. The second sort of pillar of need that we have is to increase services, outreach services in every form. So if you go back 30 or 40 years, our district, you might say, had a kind of a quote-unquote normal demographic breakdown of age groups. And then 30 or so years ago, within our library district, 6 senior retirement communities were built that for the most part were populated by people outside of the district moving into the district. So we had sort of that normal breakdown of demographics, and then we laid 10,000 senior citizens on top of that. That is not a problem. Like, we welcome it. We love serving those folks. But it makes us kind of a unique library district in that 1 in 4 of our residents is a senior citizen. So we really know that we're doing great work serving seniors, but we know we're kind of scratching the surface and we need to do more. And I would like to I spent 10 years of my 33-year career so far working in outreach services for libraries. I know that we also need to hit the opposite end of the age spectrum and do more for young children, preschool age kids, and even young school age kids. So we would like to get a bookmobile and do everything that we could do with a bookmobile to provide greater services to all those folks that I just mentioned. And then the third pillar of our ask is, over the last 12 years, maybe 10 years, we've absolutely seen the use of digital reading, downloadable ebooks and e-audiobooks and streaming media content. We've seen that usage sort of explode. And those services are not cheap. They're really expensive, but they're also really popular, and it's not taking away from any of the usage of our print and traditional library materials. It's just reaching new audiences that are now using the library that weren't before. To give you a quick example, if you'll indulge me, if John Grisham writes a new novel, through our library connections, we can get a library-bound copy of that that's a little bit tougher and sturdier than one you might buy at Barnes & Noble. We might be able to buy that book for $20 for the print copy. To get the e-book, it's going to cost us $80. And the e-book can only have one user at a time, so the publishers treat it as if it's a print book, and then it's metered. So after a certain number of checkouts or a certain period of time, that just vaporizes, and we have to buy it again. So the e-content, like I said, is hugely popular. Just this past month, for the first time ever, our e-circs equaled one of our branches. So it is truly almost like a fourth branch. It's like having a virtual branch. And I don't see that changing. It's just going to continue to grow. But as I mentioned, that stuff is supremely expensive. So for all of those reasons, those are all the things we would like to do to increase our services. The question is on the ballot for this April 1st election. The average home, and I know there's a lot of people's definitions of an average home, but the average home in our district we've determined is worth about $235,000. Again, there's many that are worth more and there's some that are worth less, but that is sort of the average. It would hit that home for about $20 more per year. That's the financial impact if this were to pass. Because this question is on the ballot for this April 1st, if we're successful in this measure, we would see that money for our budget year that begins July 1st of 2026. So these changes that I'm talking about making, if we're successful this April, they would go into effect, summer of 2026. It might take us a little bit longer to get a bookmobile, built and delivered, but it will be in process, I promise, and that's what we're hoping to do. I don't want to take up a lot of your time. That's the nuts and bolts of it. If anybody has any questions, I would love to answer them.
Well, I don't have any questions, I just have a comment. I know we have to remain neutral about the referendum, I understand that. But I would like to say that reading is critical to children. It's so important. And me personally, I like nothing better than the feeling of an actual book. I know there's a lot of people who like to read, e-read, whatever. I like to hold the book in my hand and read it. And I've been an avid reader my entire life. And when I was a child at Cheney School, I literally would take anywhere from 7 to 10 books home a week and read them all. And I went around the entire library at the school, and I read every single book in there. And it's just a portal of knowledge that you can't explain unless you have that passion. And I just learned so many things from all those readings, and it's knowledge that I still retain all these years later. So I just want to say, I think reading is very essential and very important.
Well, I of course agree. So thank you so much for saying that. Any other questions or thoughts?
No, I just wanted to say that both my husband and I are avid users of the Libby app through the White Oak Library District, and we absolutely love that having access to that. So anything you can do to further the audiobooks, ebooks, everything else, we're very appreciative.
That's great. That's great. I should have mentioned this earlier, but I ran some numbers recently, and the amount of our e-checkouts between 2019 and 2024 increased by nearly 50%. So
Wonderful.
they were already, between 2012 and 2019, they were already increasing every year, but then COVID really got a lot of people excited about the e-content stuff, and it's been booming.
Scott, thanks for being here tonight. If people have more questions, where can we direct them, or where can
So the library's website, which you can find by Googling it, or the address is White Oak LIB, as in library.org. And on the website, there's a section that this sheet that you were all given in your packets, which is the long-winded version of our everything that we think anyone might ask, and our answer to it is this sheet that you have in your hand is what's on our website. And then we have some smaller pieces with slightly less information on them. But, I guess I'll close, unless there's any other thoughts or questions, I'll close with our library district is 103 years old. Our organization is 103 years old. And the last time the public voted yes for operating money for our library district was 1929. And that was the year that we became a tax-funded entity from a privately run entity. And the year of the stock market crash. And I wasn't around then, of course, but it is kind of amazing to think that, in that troubling time, the public voted yes to fund the public library. So I know we hear a lot of folks say, like, really, you got to do this now. Now's not a good time. Can't you tighten your belt? It's never a good time for any of us. It never is. But yeah, I don't think the library district's being greedy, because it's been 96 years or whatever since we asked the public for funding to operate and got it. So that's where we are.
And Scott, thank you for the information that you provided to us tonight and to
Sure.
the people watching on television. And thank you for the job that you do, not only for Crest Hill, but for the Lockport branch and the Romeoville branch. I look out my window every day and I see just a steady stream of people coming in, their families, kids, adults, everybody using the services. So thank you for your staff. They are phenomenal in there. They're so helpful and friendly. So
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for that, and thank you for the information, and good luck to you.
Great, thank you. And also, I should have mentioned, thank you for letting me go first, because I need to pick my wife up at O'Hare in about an hour and a half.
All right, be safe.
So I don't know if you saw the last meeting, but before you leave, I want to leave you with this. I have been in contact with a very famous writer who is now writing a children's book about Ladise.
Oh, cool.
And
Yeah.
so I've been sending her information, and I've been speaking with her, and it's really very exciting. And I'm hoping that once the book is finished, she wants to come to the ceremony that year, and we'll probably, do a lot of celebrating
Yeah,
and book
absolutely.
signing. And
Let's talk. Maybe we can have her do an author talk at the library. Well,
I
she's
told her I
around.
would love her to do whatever she can while she's here. She's a lovely lady, so keep a pin in that, because she's
Yeah.
just started. It'll be at least a year, but
Sounds
something to
wonderful.
know.
All right, thank you all.
All right, thanks, Scott. All right, moving back to the agenda number 2, we have motion would be in order for the approval of the minutes of the city council meeting held on February 3rd, 2025.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Gazal, seconded by Alderperson Oberlin for the approval of the minutes of the city council meeting held on February 3rd, 2025. Questions or comments? Roll call, Chris.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
Jennifer Methvin.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
And Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And you also have before you the minutes of the work session held on February 10th, 2025. Motion would be in order.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Gazal, seconded by Alderperson Oberlin for the approval of the minutes of the work session held on February 10, 2025. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Jennifer Methvin.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, I do see several of our business owners, correct? In the audience. I would like to extend a professional courtesy to you, all of you, and I would ask for council's concurrence to deviate to the public comment portion of the agenda for them to address city council. So any of you that would like to come first, please step to the podium. You need to state your name for the record, and your address or your business is optional.
I'm sorry, this is my first time here, so I'm kind of nervous. I don't know. I work for Adil Pediatrics.
And your name, please, for the
My
record.
first name is Taranum, last name is Adil.
Okay,
And my husband owns his pediatric practice at 2226 Weber Road in Crest Hill. And he's been in practice, I guess, since 2003 now, over 20 years. And I'm here for the business license fee that we pay every year, $50. And I do that usually on time every year, but this year I don't know how I was traveling and so I went ahead and I paid the fee that was the penalty fee of extra $200 instead of the $50. So I asked the lady there, since I usually pay on time, and she suggested I can come to this council meeting and request a waiver of that penalty. That's all I'm here for.
okay. So, ma'am, we cannot take any action on this tonight because it was not on our agenda.
Okay.
We're just hearing what everybody has
Sure.
to say. We can certainly put you on the next work session agenda,
Okay.
which would be February 24th, if you
Okay.
would like.
Sure.
And then we could discuss this request that you have for the waiver at that work session.
Sure, okay.
Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for
Thank you.
listening.
Anybody else?
Hi, Laura Boyne. I'm here representing Hendricks and Bumper, and I had the similar request for the business license waiver. of the late fees. So I can come back at the next
Yeah,
meeting.
again, thank you for your comments. We cannot take any action tonight because this was not on the agenda. So if you'd like, we will put you on the agenda
Okay.
for next Monday night, 7 o'clock in this building.
Yes,
And,
please.
you can have your time at the podium, and there can be discussion back and forth between city council,
Okay.
myself, and you.
Thank you.
Fair enough?
Yep.
Gentlemen, anybody? You're together?
I just want to say it's the same situation.
Your name first for the record.
Raul Salazar, I'm with Prestige Brick Pavers and Landscapers,
Okay.
and basically it's the same request that I
Okay.
for the waiver, if it's possible.
Okay, we'll have you on the agenda also for next Monday night, February 24th at 7 o'clock PM.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sir?
Yeah. I guess the same thing. Omar Ibarra, the Toro Transmission. Actually want to be put in the agenda if possible, please.
What was the name?
Omar Ibarra?
On Lennox Lane.
Yes, yes.
Okay, we will have you on the agenda also. So we have, for city administrator, we have Prestige Brick Pavers and Landscapers, Hendrickson's Bumper and Trim, Adil Pediatrics, and Del Toro Transmission will be the four that we'll have on the agenda for next Monday night.
Okay.
Okay,
thank you.
7 o'clock here,
7 o'clock, okay.
same building.
Okay, Monday 28th, am I correct? Oh,
24th.
wait, no.
Monday the 24th, a week.
24th, okay, thank you. Have a good night.
6 days.
Yeah, 6 days.
Today's Tuesday.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. I believe that's it for that. So we will move back to the agenda items. Our city attorney, Mike Stiff. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I do not have any agenda items tonight. I had a thought about what we just talked about. I think that in addition to those four, we probably should have the item as a generalized discussion of late fees because, as I said in my confidential email to the council regarding this issue, it's probably something that is going to impact those that did pay these fees if they're going to be a consideration of waivers. So I think it should just be a generalized discussion, but I think the four that did appear tonight can be specifically named on the agenda as well, but I think it's going to be a broader discussion. With that, I would answer any other questions that you might have.
Any questions of our city attorney?
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mike. Moving on to city administrator, Tony Graff. Good evening, Tony.
Good evening, everyone. In the memo that everybody received, the update in regards to the entrance, the rear entrance for the employees coming in and elected officials, we did it, and an additional downspout was installed. This will eliminate that frequent overflow of the gutter, which also was causing icing, especially during the winter here. No update in regards to Stateville Correctional Center. The township, the Lockport Township Fire District Training Facility proposed project. The application's been submitted. Public hearing is still tentatively scheduled for 3/13 for Planning Commission meeting. Staff's conducting the review of the application materials and preparing a report for the upcoming public hearing. The reason it's tentative is there's a couple of items that staff has requested additional information from the petitioner, and if it gets in time, then we'll be able to make that public hearing date. The old City Hall property update in regards to the buyer, the Quick Trip. They're looking at their plan unit development was their application. After reviewing the survey, we ended up realizing that it's less than 5 acres in size. So the Planning Commission application is not going to be for plan unit development. However, they're still going to need some variances and some site design in regards to the new building that we're building. So we're tentatively, again, scheduling for the Planning Commission on the 13th for a public hearing. We'll have more update in the next week or so that we'll be able to let everybody know if that hearing is going to still be on the agenda or not. If there is going to be some different changes in regards to the access points and the setup of design of the building, we'll look at bringing that back to a work session. Because you guys are the owners of the property, I think it'd be very important to get your feedback and comments if there's any changes that's been proposed. Another developer,
Tony, before you move on to the next item, regard that the chief and I, we met with some of the residents from Willow Falls.
yes, I heard
And
about that.
when this will be advertised to them, the public hearing?
Yeah, yes, like any other
No,
public hearing.
when that will take place, when we confirm that it's gonna happen?
It's gonna be 15 days before the 13th, so I would say it would have to be advertised. We'd have to make a determination by Monday, on the 24th.
By this coming Monday? Okay.
Yeah, if we're gonna
Do you
be able to
mind,
advertise.
send me an email to notify the residents? And you're
Yes.
gonna be putting a sign there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
A&D Storage, they're in front of city council at a work session, probably about 2 or 3 months ago, where the owners said they would like to keep informing any updates in regards to that proposed storage facility there up on Renwick and Brorio. They did file a petition, an application. One of the terms and conditions that the city council recommended with that permit was that they were gonna do concrete throughout the whole, at the entrance, but also in the storage units. So they're now coming back, want us to consider asphalt. Well, they have to come back and ask for that. It can't be given by administratively. So they did file a petition, an application. Will be a public hearing in regards to a special use ordinance. As soon as we get the plans reviewed on the changes of what an asphalt versus concrete, they're stating that they're willing to expand the asphalt. However, they're looking for some consideration to put asphalt, had the concrete be in the front area, but asphalt be back by the storage units. That's something that's gonna have to be brought up, it's a public hearing, neighbors and everything else. One of the reasons that they're giving to staff for the change is that the original owner that was gonna build the storage unit was an excavator. And so it's gonna be a lot less costly for an excavator to put concrete in. So as community development said, you gotta go through the process and ask for special use and no guarantees in regards to it. So there will be some further information in regards to this project. They did, with the application, they did ask for to come and discuss at a work session. So we're putting them on the agenda on the 24th meeting so they could approach the council and let them know what their reasonings are. And then the public hearing is tentatively being scheduled for planning commission for March 13th.
You said they were using an excavator and it was cheaper to do concrete. I think you meant asphalt.
No, I think what happened was one of the owners of the property is in the concrete business.
Correct.
So they were looking to do concrete because obviously he can do it for cheaper when he's in the
Okay.
concrete business. That owner is no longer, they're looking to sell to another
All right.
owner. That owner is not in the
concrete
concrete business, so they want to lower their cost by putting in
Well,
asphalt.
I would like provided to us the current storage units within the city of Crest Hill, what their pavement consists of. Not only externally, but in this little individual things, because I can't imagine anybody would want to store their stuff on asphalt. That makes no sense, because it gets hot in the summer, it gets sticky.
That's not for inside.
We don't know what the plans are yet. I think the plan is to replace the concrete outside of the storage
Outside.
units and all the
But
driveways.
originally, he said outside and inside, when he said,
What I meant by the outside, the entrance coming
The
in,
entrance.
they would do the
I
concrete,
understood him, yeah.
and then the asphalt after that going to the storage units.
regardless, I would
Yeah.
like to have that information.
That's good
It's easier to
information.
make a decision when you have the information ahead of time.
And there already is a special use ordinance, so their application is, I think, to amend their special use ordinance that they currently have, but they've been told that rather than come straight to the council for that, it's got to go back through the plan commission, because what the plan commission approved was the plans and specs that were submitted, and those plans and specs called for concrete. So since they are changing a major component of the plans, they're basically starting the process over. But I think that they want to address the council at a work session before that.
Yeah,
Plan
mainly,
commission.
they made a promise, they said when they were here last time, that if there was gonna be any changes in ownership or the purchase, that they were gonna come back to the city council, let you know. So they're just keeping their commitment to keep you informed,
Yeah, we're gonna notify the residents again as well.
okay? All right, the BL Duke fire incident on November 1st, we finally finished up all the assessment of cost and impact to Crest Hill. So we're gonna be working with the city attorney and preparing a request for reimbursement to the company. And I can tell you right now, we're getting close to the $500,000 area of cost for that project, for that incident. The job announcements, working with HR director, building inspectors, the 2 part-time candidates did sign their conditional offer of employment and release forms, so HR's conducting background checks, and then we'll be ordering up their physicals next. The city administrator search, I sent out the recruitment services posting. There is some concern about some of the language brought up by Alderman Sapiti about the word administrator reports to the city council. I think we did a nice job in regarding to all the tasks that's involved with the city administrator. And I would consider taking a look at that, because those tasks are basically stating they work and report to the city council. But in the job announcement itself that gets advertised, we'll add that language in regards to, besides being confirmed by the city council, reports to the city council too. The DECO, Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, $250,000 grant award for the purchase of police vehicles and equipment. We got the award agreement and reimbursement agreement. It's been reviewed and sent off back to DCEO. We're hoping to get the go-ahead to look at moving forward, purchasing the 4 squad cars. They will be through the state bid or the cooperative bidding purchase. There's one up here in the suburban area, and then of course there's the state bid package too. So as soon as the police chief gets more information, working with Brian Saplinski, that'll be brought up in a work session about the cost and the 4 vehicles. Also, how the vehicles are going to be utilized and what's going to be replaced or reused or readapted some vehicles. So the water meter replacement program, non-compliance property owners, appointments are progressing. It's still a struggle. Having homeowners allow us to come into their homes to replace the water meters. So if anybody is contacting the elected officials, it's not a scam. That's the one thing we're hearing from some people. They feel like somebody's calling them or stopping by and they're just wondering for sure, is it a city employee? So we're going to continue working to get that done. The second phase of this, if we're still unable to get to 100% compliance, we'll be looking at bringing a fee schedule called for the on-site reading of meters, and there's going to be an extra charge for that. So if they don't get the water meter replaced to where we could look at it through the radio reads, then there'll be a manual read, there'll be a charge. We're going to be asking the city council to consider to add that to the water fee ordinance. But we're still a couple months away before we're going to present that. Place for eating tax, we still have citations being issued. We have a few businesses that are still non-compliant. We're still working with the one business. Gave them a date to March 16th to be in compliance with full payment, penalties, fines, everything like that. Otherwise, civil action is going to be taken to the next level, which will be a civil suit that we can file in Will County Court. The owner was cooperative the other day when Glenn and I met with him, and we gave him that date because they said they were going to, make payment. No payment's been made as of yet. Contacted them again today and still haven't received any payment. So we'll be working with the attorney, and we'll end up with probably an executive session in a couple of weeks to give you an update in regards to a civil suit. West Sanitary Sewer Treatment Plant, nothing new to report, still on schedule. They're optimistic that we have not been impacted about the supply chain of equipment and materials, so we should be able to finish at the date of 2026. There was a training, this is a new item we're gonna start adding in regards to updating the council in regards to training. Our DPW, with the Public Works Director of Julius Hansen, they held a training session, 3-hour block on salt management. This was timely. It was day before the snowstorm came through, and the ice storm, whatever you want to call it. They also went through a training in regards to snow removal operations, planning for the storm on February 12th. Crime Lab, no update from them. Everything's still the same as what they proposed. City website, it was brought up that we need to refresh and look at our city website. We were able to contact our host, which is Civic Plus. They're going to provide us training and updates, and they will give a free assessment of our current website and some suggestions in regards to a redesign that they're seeing in municipal government. So the first team's meeting with staff is scheduled for February 26th. So hopefully we'll bring you back some ideas and concepts for the redesign and get your input too, what you'd like to see on the website. That's all.
I had a conversation with someone today, and since they weren't an official person, I don't know the exact validity of this, but I think it bears looking into, that there are currently some types of grants available to do sidewalks, not just around schools, but in the neighborhoods surrounding schools. So, and apparently at Cheney, that's much needed on some of the lack of sidewalks or something they said. So if that's something we can research to see, I'm happy to do whatever I can to assist this, but if we can get money for something, I think we should try to get it.
Yeah, Ron did look into this, the safe streets for schools, the grant. I will ask him to check on the update to see if there's been anything different that we could qualify for.
Yes, I have anyone else? Okay. Tony?
Yes, yes, Scott.
Last week, I had heard about, we closed City Hall early the one day that there was snow, and that the next day, City Hall opened up an hour later. Well, I contacted all the communities surrounding us, Shorewood, Lockport, Plainfield, Romeoville, Joliet, Homer Glen, Bolingbrook, Shanahan. None of the other communities closed their City Hall up, nor did they open up late the next day. Now, how were those employees paid for that? Did the city just pay them for that time then?
Yes, I did an email to everybody. They still get paid, It was reviewed by the Public Works Chief, Lisa, and myself, looking at the conditions, and decision was made to close early. And the reason for opening the next day was to give our DPW crew, which was working 16 hours, and then skeleton crew was working during the night, to give them a little more time to be able to get our parking lots all done. So that's why the extra hour was given the next day.
Well, I also contacted the National Weather Service, and the National Weather Service said we received 1.8 inches of snow, not even
Correct.
2 inches of snow. Also, one community, Lockport, and I would like to see this done in the future,
how they handle it. The employees that lived a distance away, they were given the option if they wanted to go home early.
Okay.
And they could use their vacation pay, comp time, personal time, or they could skip their lunch and then take off a half hour early. But there was no money paid by the city to their employees that did decide to leave early that day. But City Hall remained open. And I would hope in the future, that's what we would do here. If employees want to leave early, we're not going to be closing up City Hall for something like this. I know last year City Hall closed early. I've seen it happen a bunch of other times. And I'm hearing this being said that we're closing, and I'm on my way to work. I'm driving to work at that time in the afternoon or in the morning. So I don't see no need to be closing City Hall. None of the other cities felt that. And if people want to leave early, that's the way they should be paid. Not the city and us taxpayers paying for that. And I hope that would be the policy we would use in the future.
I'll take it into consideration.
Thank you.
What's the number of inches before we can't park on streets during snowstorms? Is it not 2 inches?
Correct.
Yes, it's 2 inches.
So we didn't even have enough to issue tickets for parking on the streets, but we sent people home. It seems a little incongruous to me as well. Thank you, Scott, for all that information.
No problem.
I think we need to be a little more,
Not only
Makes
that,
no
we,
sense.
we live in the Midwest. I mean, we're not in Florida that we can handle a snowstorm. And the second thing is, as I told you, we are a business before anything to our residents. And closing the doors, I mean, you should see social media, how they were making fun of us. I mean, schools, they kept running. They didn't leave the kids home. My daughter went to school. Richland went to school. Cheney went to school.
Yeah, none of the schools had early
None of the
dismissal
schools.
either.
Either early dismissal or coming late to school either.
well, I just don't understand how we can't even enforce the no parking on the street thing, but we're sending people home. It seems a little off kilter to me. If it doesn't merit issuing tickets for parking on the street during a snowstorm, it certainly isn't substantial enough to merit anything else. And I would think that would be a pretty obvious thing to most people, but, you know, sometimes I'm accused of having too much common sense.
Also, if we could have for the next work session, the discussion about the alderman's the compensation ordinance, if we could have that in the next work session.
Yes, it's going on the 24th.
All right, just want to make sure.
Yep,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I have a question about the, the closing. Is there a guideline we go by, or would that just be someone make a call that we're gonna close early and that's what happens? Because it seems like we need to put some guidelines in place to control that, because we're paying wages for no work, on a speculation.
It seems like we need guidelines for everything lately.
So, but is there a guideline that we go by, or what criteria was used? I'd like to know, to justify closing the city, and none of the neighboring communities did such a thing.
I use my best judgment, also working with the Public Works and the Police Chief. And it wasn't employees asking to go home early, it was the judgment of the three department heads. We were constantly monitoring the storm. I mean, I'd love to be had the perfect storm of knowing exactly what's gonna happen. Weather is unpredictable. I was anticipating that we were gonna get more snow, we didn't get it. And at the end of the day, the decision was made in regards to safety, and not just for our employees, but also for residents coming to our facility and keeping the trucks and the workers out on the street. So, maybe the judgment is hindsight, you know, everybody could have that afterwards, but I took it in the best interest of what I felt at that point.
Are we short on staff?
Pardon me?
Are we short on staff?
Yes, we're short on staff.
We were short on staff that day?
No, we're short on staff every day. We're short, you know.
We are?
Yeah,
In Public Works?
in Public Works, there are days where they don't have enough people working, yes. they take their time off, they take sick time, they got vacation time, you know, so there are days where, you know, they don't have enough people. They make it work, with no two ways about it. We're not asking for more people, but in regards to,
I'm just wondering how we managed the city for so many years with no issues. For so many years, we snowplow, we had blizzard, and we still survived. And all of a sudden now, we can survive 2 inches of snow.
well, I've managed through the blizzards through many other municipalities. You know, there's good and bad in regards to making decisions. So I made a decision. I stand behind it, but I understand your concerns in regards to it. And I think looking at alternatives, sort of what Lockport's doing, I'll check with some other managers and see what else they're doing. I do know when you do ask employees that are farther away to leave early, I know there's always been a concern about, you know, being fair with everybody. Just because they happen to live a little farther away, they get to leave early. So it's,
Well,
I will
think-
find out from Lockport how they do that, how they handle that, you know, in regards to their office morale and things.
So
Well, I would think
let me,
if-
excuse me, just one second, I just want to clarify something. So now we're concerned about singling certain employees out for favoritism. Now that's an issue right now? Is that what you're saying?
Every day something could come up like that. I look at it, yes.
Because it wasn't seeming to be an issue when we had a problem last week. I really think that, I sat and I looked out my window all day, because, you know, when you're retired, you can do that now. And I never saw any condition that merited, you know, let's call, and the fact that it didn't even hit 2 inches
I totally.
is mind-blowing. I mean, I just think,
I get it. It was a
well, I
decision.
hope you do get it, because
I get it.
it just seems crazy, crazy.
Hey, guys, we are starting the process of looking for a permanent city administrator.
Thank God.
Obviously, you didn't like the choice that was made, but can we please move on from this subject?
Why, we're not allowed to speak? Are you
Definitely
saying we're not allowed to
I'm saying
speak?
that I think we are just beating a dead horse at this point.
Everybody
And we-
has their right to their opinions, so we're going down the line, whoever wants to speak. Are you saying we're not allowed to speak?
Am I allowed to speak?
Well, are we allowed to
I've been
speak?
sitting here for years, talking about how somebody micromanages this place. And although I don't agree with the decision that was made, somebody has to make that decision at the end of the day. Did he make a bad decision? That's up for interpretation. Obviously, we know how most of us feel. But at the end of the day, how much more time are we gonna spend talking about this?
If we have to spend 2 hours, it's our right. If we have the floor and you want to speak, it's our right.
Okay.
I just didn't hear of any road closings that day. You know, when you hear weather real bad, a lot of times you hear about 55 being shut down or anything like that. There was none of that. And if you don't want to single anyone out, you can just say to all the employees, we need to keep the office open. If anyone feels the need, they want to leave early, they can do it on their own time. The city should not be paying for people to be off. To me, it just sounded like an excuse for everyone to get off and get paid, and everyone to go home early and come in late the next day. I'm sorry, that's the way I think and the way I feel. I don't see a lot of other business, I don't see the Jewel shutting down, I don't see a lot of other businesses closing their doors. Oh, there's some snow out there. And they run their business through the snow with their parking lot, and that's what many more people going in and out of their door than walks in and out here on a daily basis. And I would bet money on that.
And we still operate a business. Our police department was working, our public works people were working, so we're not a Jewel, we didn't close, we kept
Well, City
people
Hall was
working.
closed.
Yeah, City Hall, that's one component of
Well,
the city
it was
operation.
closed, and it shouldn't have been closed, and I'm just saying, in the future, I would
And
hope
I'm
that
telling-
wouldn't be happening
And
again.
I've said it already, in hindsight, you could always look at it the next day and say, what could you have done different? Knowing the facts of what the storm really was, so.
Okay, thanks, Tony. Moving on to our Public Works Department, our Director of Public Works, Julius Hanson. Julius?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. We have 5 action items tonight. I'll be brief. First one's approval for the repairs of 3 influent pumps at the East STP plant from Flight for an amount not to exceed $60,000.
Motion would be in order.
So moved as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderperson Oberlin, seconded by Alderwoman Methvin, to approve the repairs of 3 influent pumps for the east sewer stream implement by the company called Flight for a total cost not to exceed $60,000. Questions or comments? Roll call, Chris.
Darrell Jefferson,
Yes.
Claudia Gazal,
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
Jennifer Methvin.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
The next action item is the approval of a change order number 4 with Williams Brothers Construction and Company for the East Water Reclamation Facility phosphorus removal upgrades.
Motion would be in
So
order.
moved as presented.
Second.
Motion by Alderperson Oberlin, seconded by Alderman Dyke, to approve change order number 4 with William Brothers Construction Incorporated for the East Water Reclamation Facility phosphorus removal upgrades. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Comments. Is this change order, because I'm looking at the original contract price, then I look at previous change order adjustment in contract price, so this is bumping this up to $4,944,000? Is that what this is doing?
Yes, that's correct. So the change order is for $49,112.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call, Chris.
Claudia Gazal,
Yes.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
Jennifer Methvin.
Yes.
And Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
The next action item is the approval of agreement with Strand Engineering to provide on-call wastewater engineering services for the amount not to exceed $25,000.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Dyke, seconded by Alderwoman Gazal, to approve an agreement with Strand Engineering to provide on-call wastewater engineering services the amount not to exceed $25,000. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke,
Yes.
Jennifer Methvin.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson,
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
Fourth action item, approval of pay request number 25 for Viscering Construction with direction to send it to the IEPA for approval and disbursement for a total amount of $866,374.75.
So moved as presented.
Second.
Motion by Alderperson Oberlin, seconded by Alderwoman Gazal, to approve pay request number 25 from Viscering Construction Incorporated with direction to send it to IEPA for approval and disbursement for a total amount of $866,374.75. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
Jennifer Methvin.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson,
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
And the fifth and final approval item
Wait,
is,
can you, does that one have a resolution number?
Not this one, no.
so the fifth and final approval or action item is approval of resolution approving the January 31st, 2025 proposal for M.E. Simpson Company for leak survey, water testing, or water meter testing, valve assessment, and hydrant assessment services, and the release of 6 frozen seized valves in the total amount of $111,390.
So moved as presented.
Second.
Motion by Alderperson Oberlin, seconded by Alderwoman Gazal, for the approval of a resolution approving the January 31st, 2025 proposal from M.E. Simpson Incorporated for leak survey, meter testing, valve assessment, and hydrant assessment services, and the release of 6 frozen seized valves in the amount of $111,390. Questions or comments?
Well, I would like to comment, thank you for bringing this to us, because these are all things that should have been taken care of in previous public works, admin, whatever. So.
Better late than never.
Well, this is true, but sometimes late is no good, but thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for approving.
Roll call, Chris.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke,
Yes.
Jennifer Methvin.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson,
Yes.
Claudia Gazal,
Yes.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you. Resolution 1288.
Thank you, everyone, for that.
Julius, please extend my gratitude and the city's gratitude to all the employees of Public Works Department for the job well done on Wednesday, the Wednesday snowstorm and the Friday, Saturday snowstorm. I know that all the projections for a lot more inches of snow that had accumulated, and I know that Wednesday, a lot of people were off from work and everything else, and there was a very small amount of traffic that was going down the roads. And I know that those roads were slippery because of the lack of vehicles that were going down the street and taking the salt in their tires and spreading it out as they go. But they did work 16-plus hours on that day, and they kept the streets from freezing up with all the salt that they threw down. And then the storm on Saturday, same thing, larger projection of accumulation that we had, but they were well prepared for it. And I just want to extend my gratitude, the city's gratitude for the job well done, for what they did for those two snowstorms. Hopefully that's the last ones that we have for this year, and we'll be getting some nicer weather.
I would like to say that the plow drivers are some of the best that I've worked with. You got some really good crew working for City Crest Hill.
Thank you.
Well, I would like to tell you that I did get a phone call from a resident in my ward who is generally calling me to complain about the snow cleanup and complimented the fact that you laid down the pre-snow thing before the big blizzard. But he appreciated that you did that, and he said that was very smart of you, so compliment.
This is more in reference to the February 5th ice storm, Julius, but I came home from a 7 o'clock meeting and I drove down my street and it just looked like a crystal paradise because there was just salt all over the road. And I was gonna call you and complain about how much salt was on the road, but then that next morning, when I was walking the kids to school, it paid off because every single spot was slippery except for the street. So appreciate all the work that the guys and gals do in the department and the appropriate amount of salt that they seem to apply to the roads. Thank you.
I will pass all these compliments along to the crew. They did do a great job. Multiple storms, a lot of hours of work, and they take a lot of pride in their work.
Okay, thanks, Julius.
Thank you.
Moving on to our city engineer, Ron Wiedemann. He is on vacation this week. There are 3 agenda items under his report. All of these were discussed last Monday night at the work session, so I will handle them for him. The first one is number 9, approval of a resolution for professional service agreement for design services for the Chernovic and Ladise Curve widening by and between the city of Crest Hill, Will County, Illinois, and Christopher B. Burke Engineering, not to exceed an amount of $9,950. Motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alderwoman Methvin, seconded by Alderman Dyke. Questions or comments in regards to the motion? Roll call, please.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke,
Yes.
Jennifer Methvin,
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson,
Yes.
Claudia Gazal,
Yes.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes,
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
and Nate Albert.
Yes.
Motion carries, resolution 1289.
Okay, agenda item number 10 is approval of a resolution approving amendment number 2 to the September 21st, 2022 agreement for design and bidding related services for well number 14 by and between the city of Crest Hill, Will County, Illinois, and Strand Associates for an amended contract amount of $137,000. Motion would be in order.
so moved as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderperson Oberlin, seconded by Alderwoman Gazal. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Scott Dyke,
Yes.
Jennifer Methvin,
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson,
Yes.
Claudia Gazal,
Yes.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes,
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
and Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Motion carries, resolution 1290.
And agenda item number 11 is approval of a resolution approving an agreement for the 2025 sidewalk cutting program construction by and between the city of Crest Hill, Will County, Illinois, and Safe Step LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alderwoman Gazal, seconded by Alderman Albert. Questions or comments of the motion? Roll call.
Jennifer Methvin,
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson,
Yes.
Claudia Gazal,
Yes.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
Motion carries, resolution 1291.
Okay, moving on to community development. There are no agenda items tonight. Moving on to our police department. Our Deputy Chief Ryan Dobsek is here this evening. Ryan?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I do not have any agenda items tonight. However, I would like to announce that our citywide Just FOIA portal went live today at 10 a.m. We did have an announcement on social media. There is a link article on the front page of the city website. And so, again, I want to thank all the employees. It truly was a collaborative effort between city employees, police department employees. I really want to thank our record supervisor, Lisa Kicker. This was kind of her project, was her brainchild. She really got it going, talked to a bunch of different companies, and she did a fantastic job with this. Also, our AV specialist, Alex Schmeckpepper, she also did a great job. She's made some updates to the website for this, so now our FOIA section under the government for Freedom of Information Act has also been updated with the link to the portal now. So again, as we talked about before, I trust that that's going to, just bring about greater accessibility, accountability, transparency, all those fun words. And I think it'll be a good thing for the residents. And so we're happy with it. We're proud of it. Again, we thank council for approving it. And that's all I have. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Just if you can give us an update soon about the incident, what happened last Monday. I know Ed's out of town, and I'm getting a lot of questions. We need an update on that.
Okay. I can certainly update council, maybe behind closed doors. I could just say that the investigation is going very well. And, but yeah, I would prefer to not mention particulars.
I understand it's under investigation.
And Ryan, please extend my gratitude to the police department also for everything I said about public works. Same thing for the ladies and gentlemen of the police department. They are out there under some cold conditions also, windy, and I'm sure there were a lot of accidents with the streets and everything else. So hats off to them for a job well done too.
Thank you. I will pass it on.
Okay, moving on to the mayor's report. I do not have any agenda items. The only comment I have is I spoke with our finance director today, and we are on schedule for the property tax rebate checks to be sent out for delivery on or about St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2025. And again, to the residents, if you did fill out the rebate application that needed to be done prior to December 31st, I believe, or December 4th, I believe it was, you will be eligible for a 25% refund on the city portion of the property tax bill, not the entire top property tax bill, the city's portion, 25% rebate. So expect to see that in the mail in the green envelope on or about St. Patrick's Day. I'll be glad to answer any questions that anybody may have.
I have a quick question. I'm not sure if this is for you or the city administrator. Is there a reason why the community development is not here at the meetings? I mean, I understand before because we have an interim and now we have a full-time. Back in the day, we always had the community development available at all the meetings, and we always demanded like a report. And is the reason why the new full-timer is not attending meetings?
He had a personal. He had a personal commitment tonight and he couldn't make the meeting, but he's planning on making the meetings, yes.
Okay, thank you. So he will be in the meetings now on?
Yes, he will.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question also. I know with other departments and like when Glenn stepped in, the interim that was here before he started was here just a week with him. and then that person left, and we've had other departments the same thing, where we have someone come in, they're only here for a week or two to train with them, and then they're gone. But in community development, Ron Metzner's still here over a month after we have our Patrick here. I was wondering, how long is he gonna be still with us, or how much longer he will be with us? Do we need to keep him on?
Perhaps we could put that on the work session agenda.
I would say, and I'll certainly let Tony answer, but I would say we certainly do need here. We have a couple of big projects that are before us now that are coming up pretty soon, that he handled the whole way through from start to finish here. And he is being a good mentor to Patrick also. And I would say that he probably needs to be here maybe up to possibly 2 more months. But I'll turn it over to Tony for his.
Yeah, we're planning on the next work session on the 24th to give an update in regards to the community development organization, in regards to Ron's involvement. His hours are looking to be reduced, but there is a report that we're going to present to you about the reasons to keep Ron on in a consulting manner with the 3 or 4, pending projects that he's the one that's sort of been spearheading those. We thought it'd be very wise for having him stay on in the benefit of the applicants because of his history in regards to reviewing the plans. And Patrick has taken on the lead, and Ron's mentoring right along with that. So but Monday night there'll be a presentation by the community development with Patrick and by Ron. Some suggestions.
I had a question regarding keeping both of them on for an extended period of time. How is that going to affect the budget? We don't have budget for 2 employees. It's just 1 economic development director, and now we have 2.
Well, you do. There is in the budget. There's funds. There's a full-time planner that's still in the budget. So we do have dollars to cover this, and we'll give you more of an explanation and details in regards to how it does affect funding on Monday.
Can you also bring for Monday the total amount of how much we're paying both of them in total, how much is it costing us monthly?
Yes, the budget that they're going to be presenting is current up to today, and then what the future would be for the time period. We are looking at, as the mayor said, probably looking at a couple of months. But it's a decision still has to get made by the council.
Okay, moving on to our city clerk's report. Our city clerk, Christine Verche Hall. Chris?
Good evening. I have nothing to report tonight.
Questions of the clerk? Thanks, Chris. City treasurer's report. Our treasurer, Glenn Conklin. Good evening, Glenn.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I seek your approval on our list of bills issued through February 19th, 2025, in the amount of $567,669.84.
So moved as presented.
Second.
Motion by Alderperson Oberlin, seconded by Alderwoman Methvin for the approval of the list of bills. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Darrell Jefferson,
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
And Jennifer Methvin.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Next is strictly informational, our regular and overtime payroll from January 27th, 2025 through February 9th, 2025 is in the amount of $247,930.39. That's all I have for this evening, unless anyone has any questions.
Just I have a question for Glenn with 2 N's. That's going to be your name forever, Glenn with 2 N's. We spoke about the water bill last week. Did you consider that, or did you look into it to separate the, minimize the billing?
Yes, well, I didn't look into as much as I wanted to, but yes, I do want to revisit that and present some options for everybody and say, what do you want to do going forward? As far as presenting what changes you want to the water bill. And the other thing I wanted to address regarding the water bill going to a single month payment. it seems one of the concerns we have is not so much with the bills presenting it, we can do that. It's more of a work aspect of it. A number of reads that you have to do increases a lot. It doubles the water reads you have to do. And then also the shut-offs and turn-ons. But that might be some concern. I want to make sure that I visit with Julius to make sure that we have the manpower to do that before we flip the switch and realize we might be stumbling over our feet. Yes.
Back in the day, we always had monthly payments. We used to have monthly payments in here, monthly billing back in the day. It
How
was
long
every
ago?
other month,
How long ago?
way back.
Many, many years ago.
Yeah, it had,
But didn't last for long.
yeah, it was 30 years ago I started getting, when I came back to Crest Hill, 30 years ago, it was every other month.
It used to be every 3 months.
Used to be 2.
Yeah.
And it was 1 for a while, but, I believe we went from 1 to 3. And I'm going back 25 plus years ago. And the 3 didn't work out either because the bills were too excessive at that point in time after the 3 months. So then we settled on the 2 months. And the 1 month, it was a hard turnaround with the shut-offs of trying to catch up. And then the next bill came out.
I mean, these are things we can maybe consider with, Julius come up with a plan, but we've got, operationally, maybe say we're doing a shut-off at X amount of days, maybe we extend that another 30 so that we have so we're rolling the same way, so we're not multiplying how many times or how many shut-offs we're doing in a month. We could probably keep it more steady and likely with a more frequent billing with it being a lesser amount, we're probably gonna actually cut them down, but there has to be some considerations on how we do that.
And the goal is, I want to talk about this manpower issue with Julius, because the idea is that if you have the monthly billing, that's going to be a smaller amount, might be less amount of shut-offs and stuff like that if we could turn off. But I don't know, yes, that might work on a short scale, but it's still going to be the same amount, dollar amount that people have to dish out, whether it's once every month or once every 2 months. So, there might be some, float you can get there with the residents, but in the end, it still hits them the same way in the same pocket.
I understand, but I didn't meant to open this big conversation right now. My goal right now is that flat fee, that we need to be transparent and
Yes.
put it on the water bill so the resident, they know what they need to pay regardless of they use the water or not. We need to be transparent about that because some people have confusions about why do you use that much water, and then they come in to find out that no, you use it or not, you have this particular flat fee no matter what cubicle feet. So we need to be more transparent on our billing.
Correct. And do you want me to put that, give you some samples on the work session on Monday?
Well,
Is
yeah,
this
that's
gonna
gonna be
an
pretty much,
actionable item?
you have 8 councilmen here that
Okay.
they need to make that decision.
Yes, that's correct.
Just a suggestion from me that I think it's
Okay.
nothing like being
I'll have something
transparent
for
to
you
the
on Monday.
resident. And this will literally help for them to look at the water bill in a different way. Hey, this is what I get charged and why I get charged that fee instead of hidden it, and then after that, whatever they use extra, this is what you be, charge extra because what you're using.
I completely agree. The fewer questions that residents have, the better for everybody.
Thank you.
Well, monthly billing too also helps catch leaks earlier on too, if somebody has a leak.
What was that?
That's correct.
As I say, you can catch a leak sooner if you're
Oh,
getting a monthly bill.
absolutely, absolutely.
All of a sudden, one spikes 1 month over the next. I mean, I think it's long overdue, and I agree with Glenn about, maybe we just push the shut-offs later to maybe a two-month process instead of it being every billing period, just for manpower's sake. But,
Okay.
thanks. And I got a question for you, Steve, Glenn, if you were done with that subject. And this is just minor, whichever Glenn wants to take this one. I know we have limited space on the descriptions on the list of bills, but when it comes to MGT, GovHR, whatever they're called this week, can we put the person's name on there on who that particular bill is for? It does show on here for Julius, but maybe if we can get it for the other individuals that we have.
I'll talk to AP about that.
Thanks.
Get that.
I have a question. Back last year in October, the city got charged for a guardrail from an accident. I was just wondering if we ever got reimbursed that money for that guardrail?
I'll have to take a look at it and get back to you.
All right, thank you.
Good catch. I forgot about that.
Okay, moving on, unfinished business, we have nothing on the agenda, anyone? New business, anybody? Committee liaison reports, anyone? City council comments? Positive city council comments, anything you'd like to share with your constituents? We begin with Alderman Kubal tonight.
Nothing to add at this time, Mayor.
Alderman Albert?
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Alderman Spitty?
Nothing tonight.
Alderperson Oberlin?
Well, I would like, even though he's not here, I would like to wish our Don Seaman, today's his birthday, and it's a very special birthday. Big number today, so happy birthday, sir.
Alderwoman Gazal?
Yes, I just want to remind the resident that we have a new coffee shop that we went to ribbon cutting this last Friday, Su Merce. It's a Colombian coffee, and they are struggling for being new, so please go and support that business. And also, I want to remind everyone about freedom of speech is the right to express ideas and opinions without fear or punishment from in the government. So, long story short is, if this council wants to speak, I think we have the right to speak as long as we do it with respect. I'm getting sick and tired of down there constantly rolling their eyes. If you're not so happy about being here, why are you here? You know? Why are you here? We were elected to do the job. And when it comes to taxpayer money, we have the right to ask all the questions, and nobody's gonna stop me from doing that. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Jefferson?
Nothing to say.
Alderwoman Methvin?
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Dyke?
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Public comment. Anyone like to address city council, please step to the podium, state your name for the record. Address is optional.
Linda Dyke. So I've got a picture here on my phone of 3:56 on Wednesday afternoon when the so-called snowstorm hit. My street looked like it had rained heavily. It was all wet, water. Man was riding a bicycle down the road. I would like to know, and I will FOIA these things, how much money was spent to pay employees for going home early on a day when we only had 1.8 inches of snow. There's not even enough snow to cover my grass in my front yard. My city that I was born and raised in was the laughingstock of social media because someone in charge of my city chose to send home employees when there wasn't even 2 inches of snowfall for my car to be parked on the city street legally without getting a ticket. I would also like to know how many accidents were in the city that day. Were our police safe to drive on those poor roads we had, the poor quality of roads? I even called my son, who was a police officer, and said, "Are you okay out there?" He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, our town closed down, 1.8 inches. We fine people for late fees on water bills, business licenses, but then my taxpayer money, along with all the rest of the citizens, sent home employees and paid them for that. I was on the phone too, calling with my husband. I couldn't believe nobody else sent anybody home. They said, "What? Crest Hill?" I said, "I don't know, maybe there's some, what do you call that, microburst that hit in the small town I live in? I don't know, didn't hear about it." And I'm going to FOIA, I want to know what's the furthest point an employee in this city that works here lives, because I know most live pretty close. That's all I have.
Anybody else? Okay, Mike, is there a need for an executive session?
There's not.
Motion to adjourn, Mayor.
Second.
I have a motion for an adjournment by Alderman Dyke, seconded by Alderman Albert. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Claudia Gazal,
Yes.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
Jennifer Methvin.
Yes.
And Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, meeting is adjourned at 8:15.